Greetings everyone. Welcome again to Jet tutorial series. In this episode, we will understand Jet architecture, commonly used terminologies, and Jet CLI. At the end, we will get familiar to Jet CLI, which will be used in our upcoming tutorials. So let's get started. We have multiple Linux servers here. The server where we install Jet engine software is called controller machine or Jet master. This server is responsible for dictating policies and configuring rules which needs to be implemented. This is the only software you need to install in your Jet ecosystem. The other Linux servers, which will be managed by Jet controller machine, are called targets or remote hosts or managed nodes. In order to manage these targets, we need to define them inside a file, which is known as inventory file. The Jet controller machine will refer this inventory file to check if the server listed in the inventory is managed by Jet or not. If the listed server is managed server, the Jet will connect to the target server over SSH protocol to perform configuration management tasks. This is how simple the architecture of Jet is. If you have ever worked with Ansible, Jet terminologies looks very similar to it, but there are significant differences in the syntax, commands, and workflow. Don't worry for it now, as we will get familiar to all this stuff in our upcoming tutorials. Before we go through the slides, let me go to a Blackboard to give you an overall idea of these terminologies. Now, we will be having one master server. So you can think of this as Jet master. This is a controller node. And we will be having multiple other Linux servers. So I'm writing it as target 1. I'm writing it as target 2. And this is target 3. So this is a master server. And these all are the servers which this Jet master will going to manage. So these are remote hosts. Now, in order to manage them, we need to define them somewhere. So that somewhere is called inventory. So we are going to define target 1, target 2, target 3, or what all other servers you want to manage using Jet. Now we have a controller node, we have managed machines, and we have defined them inside an inventory file. Now the next thing is modules. There are two types of modules in Jet. One is inbuilt and another is external modules. So the inbuilt modules ships with Jet, and you will see most of the basic modules are there and they all are written in Rust. But Jet gives you a flexibility to write external modules also. And the good part is those external modules can be of any supported programming language. So you can write them in any programming language. Now we have modules. What we do, we use these modules and we write something called playbooks. Now, when you start writing playbooks, we need to make sure these playbooks will be YAML files. It means you have YAML programming patterns which you will use in Jet to create your or to write your playbooks. When you talk about playbooks, now playbooks will be having multiple sections in it. The three primary sections which playbooks includes are plays, tasks, and handlers. So you can have a single play inside a playbook, or you can have multiple plays, means list of plays inside a playbook. So playbooks will going to define plays, which indeed will going to have tasks and handlers. Now you can write n number of playbooks, but when you want the reusability or you want multiple playbooks to be grouped together, this is where roles will come into a picture. So in a simple layman language, roles is nothing. It's a grouping of playbooks or rather tasks. Or the second part which roles will going to provide you is the reusability. So you can create roles and you can reuse anywhere in your upcoming projects or upcoming tasks. Or even roles will provide you a good solid way to share your already created automation framework. So if you see here, so this number one is our Jet controller machine. These remote hosts are the servers where we are going to do the automation. When you talk about managing these servers, you are going to have inventories. Then you are having the basic building blocks, which are called modules. Using modules, you are going to write YAML files. These YAML files are called playbooks. Playbooks will going to have multiple sections inside it. So the first one is play. The second one is tasks. And the third one is handler. In fact, every play will going to have tasks and handlers. But this is just at a very high level, and hence I'm not going too deep into it. We will going to discuss about playbooks in one of our dedicated tutorials. And then finally, you are going to have roles. Now, what you are actually going to do, you are going to write your playbooks. And then you are going to run the commands from Jetp. So what Jetp will going to do? Referring those commands, your Jetp will going to validate everything in the inventory. That either the server where I have to perform the automation is a part of the managed server or not. If it's a managed server, your Jetp will going to make a connection with that particular server and going to do the automation for us. Once automation is done, all of the things will be completely visible to your Jet server. So you are going to get the detailed reports here. So this is how the entire ecosystem of Jetp is working. Let's switch back to the slides and revise what we have understood here. So the Jet controller machine is a dedicated server that dictates policies for the servers it manages. It initiates commands and ensures the state of your other machines. You can think of it as a master Jet server. The targets or remote machines are the servers which Jet controller machine will manage and configure with various automation tasks. Inventory is a list of machines or targets which we want to manage using Jet. There are two ways of defining inventory: file-based inventory or dynamic inventory in Jet. Modules are the basic building blocks or functions which executes at the backend to perform underlying tasks in Jet. There are two types of modules in Jet: inbuilt modules, which are all written in Rust. You also have the flexibility to create your own modules in any supported language like Python. Jet uses YAML extensively to write playbooks or roles. So it's super simple to get started with Jet automation. Playbooks are plain YAML files, which are used to enforce configuration, deploy applications, manage users, groups, and much more. The main components of playbooks are plays, tasks, and handlers. Playbooks are composed of list of plays. Usually we prefer one play per playbook, but you can have multiple plays inside a same playbook. In other words, play is a logical grouping for performing some sequence of commands. Example, deployment of one complete web application or hardening of Ubuntu Linux machine. Tasks define the configurations or automation steps to execute on target machines. In simple layman language, handlers are running operations on changes. Handlers are triggered by conditions occurring from other modules which are changing something. Roles are nothing but a grouping of tasks. When you scale your environment, roles will help in reusability of your existing work. In fact, roles are a way to keep playbooks well organized. There is only one command in Jet, which is jetp. The syntax of jetp is jetp mode followed by flags or parameters. Jetp ships to work with 5 modes: show inventory, check local, check-ssh, and ssh. Jetp followed by mode supports multiple flags like -p or --playbook, -i or --inventory, -r or -roles. These are most commonly used flags. Let's switch over to a demo to see how Jetp CLI works. For this demo, we have installed Jet locally on our laptop, which is Mac based. Let's verify the Jet version by running jetp version command. As you can see in the output, the jetp can be used using jetp mode and then flags. Let's explore it more. Jetp help. If I scroll it little up, see here, when you talk about this mode, so we have actually three categories: utility, local machine management, and remote machine management. So when you talk about mode, there are five modes as of now in Jet. So when you talk about the first mode, show inventory, it will actually going to display or list the machines which Jet controller node is managing. This is useful when we are talking about remote machine management. Now the other is local machine management. In local machine management, there are two modes: check local and local. So when you talk about check local, this is nothing. This is just a dry run. You are creating a playbook before you are implementing it or before you are asking it to do any changes in your target machines. You want to see what it will going to do. So check hyphen local will going to see the differences or what the playbook will going to do in your targets. So this is just a dry run. Once you are satisfied with the results which you wanted to perform in your target machines, you can run this in a real mode. And that real mode, you just have to use something called local. Local will actually going to take your playbook or roles and will going to implement that locally. These two options are just for a local machine. It means it's just going to work on a single machine, which is locally. So you can think of it as a development server where you are developing your automation frameworks, or you can think of using it to do some kind of a proof of concept or POCs, right? But when you talk about actual production, you are going to have a controller machine and you want to manage a fleet of servers. This is where check-ssh and SSH mode will come into a picture. Check-ssh is nothing. It's a dry run mode, which we are going to do on a remote server on a target machine, right? And once you are satisfied with the dry run, you can run it to do the actual changes. And then you are going to use a mode called SSH. When you talk about these flags, there are three categories in flags also. One is called basics, one is called SSH options, and one is called miscellaneous. Now, when you talk about basics, so hyphen P or hyphen playbook, hyphen I or hyphen inventory, hyphen R or hyphen roles. These are some of the flags which are going to use majority of the time. But there are many SSH options as well. Example, if you want to run a playbook with a specific user, you have an option called -u or -user followed by a username. Likewise, if you haven't configured passwordless authentication, though you will always going to have it when you talk about production. But let's say you are doing some kind of a test and you are going to do it with a password-based authentication. This is where -ask -login password flag will going to come into a picture. Similarly, there are certain miscellaneous options as well. Example, you can have tags, you can do a sudo, you can give extra variable. This is something which we use a lot, and you are having different verbose modes available as well. So in order to show you how Jetp works, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run some of the commands in local mode. You need not to worry about all these commands because we are going to have the dedicated videos on these commands. This is just for your reference to get familiar with Jetp command. If I do ls jet, let me clear my screen. Ls, if you see here, I'm having one playbook. You need not to worry about this playbook at this point in time. This is just a playbook. What all syntax it's having, how it has been written, we all will going to cover it in our upcoming tutorials. But this is just one playbook which will going to create one directory called second pb or playbook directory. So second pb directory. What I'm going to do is I'm going to run it in a dry run mode first. So I'm going to do jetp. I'm going to do check local and I'm going to use --playbook, and I'm going to run it. We have to give a path of the playbook, so it's in my current home directory, jetpoc slash second playbook.yaml. Enter. See here. If you closely see here, the output is very neat and clean and too elaborated if you compare it with other configuration management tools. We're going to talk about all these things again in our dedicated playbook tutorial. But if you see here, it is starting a playbook. This is the playbook. It's having a play. The name of the play is second play. See this. And then if you come down, it's running on a single host, which is my local machine. It is creating a directory. See here, it is saying it would create a directory. It means it's a dry run. And then you have the complete results here, and see here actions are applied. Now this is a dry run. It is not creating anything. It is just going to tell you that what this playbook will going to do on your local machine. If you're satisfied with these outputs, what you have to do is jetp, me to control C, jetp, you have to do local, and then you have to do --playbook jetpoc second playbook.yaml. Enter. See this. How quick it was. If you see here, you will see a change here. It is written here as created. It means the things have been created. Now if I do ls-lrt, see here, this directory has been created. See this, the time, see here. So this has been created just a couple of seconds ago. If I run it again, let me run it in a dry run, enter, see this, it is saying it's masked. So this will not going to do any change. Even if I apply it, it will not going to do anything. See here, it is all applied. This is idiom potency, right? So that's it for this demo. Thank you for watching and stay tuned for our upcoming episode 3, where we will understand how to set up Jet to get started with real automation. Thanks again, and I'll see you soon.